Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of CS Cyber. I'm Sean.
And I'm Chad.
And here we go. It's a busy week. So what do we got?
It has been a busy week. So you've been out this week.
I have.
Where you been?
I was in Washington, D.C.
What were you doing?
I feel like this is personal.
Yeah.
So I was there for work. The Warren County fly-in was this week. If you're not familiar with fly-ins, I know it's done nationally. It's not everywhere, but once a year, some local governments get together and businesses, kind of a private public partnership, and you go to D.C. And you meet with your legislators. You get updates from other government agencies. Like I was at the Department of Transportation building, getting an update on the National 911 program and securing 911 from a cyber perspective.
Okay.
Yeah, it was super cool. Those trips are always really fun. I have a lot of people say, "Why do you guys all go to DC? Why don't you guys all just talk here?" It's not that easy to get 85 people.
Oh, wow. So is this coordinated just through like Warren County, or was it Warren County, like cities? Like, how does it get coordinated, I guess?
Different counties do it differently. So Warren County did it through the Warren County Business Alliance or Chamber Alliance. And then when Montgomery County does it, it's the Dayton Development Coalition. Just depends on how it gets, who does the organization of it. Kind of dictates, who goes. A lot of cities go to really meet with their legislators and talk to them about issues in their districts.
So you get time with the legislators that are there.
Yeah, you do.
You're there, so
yeah, you can. Yes, you need to take the time to do that. For example, I met with Congressman Turner at the state capitol while he at the U.S. Capitol.
Okay. Yeah.
While we were there, and just updating him on the nonprofit, the Go Cyber Collective, and just some of the progress that we have been making in that area. So you have to make the time to do that. Some of the legislators do come in, and like Senator Sherrod Brown did come in and spoke to our group. Warren Davidson came in as well. We had a keynote speaker, Jennifer Griffin from Fox News. She's the Pentagon correspondent.
Okay.
She had a great super story to tell. It's very good. Lots of good networking and time spent with people.
And this happens like all the time, right? So this isn't
once a year. Yep.
Once a year for Warren County, but other counties they're constantly doing this, right?
Yeah, and I've seen other states do fly-ins as well. So it's a common common thing. It's not just an Ohio thing.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no, it's fun.
All right, so.
But I'm done with Washington.
Now you're back.
Washington's its own place, It has its own characters, a lot of history there. We went to the National Archives. That's
I was
always
just
fun.
There, not last weekend, the week before.
Yeah, it's
kind
always
of doing
fun.
the tourist thing. So.
Yep. No, it's always fun to see some of that history. We actually had dinner one night in Lincoln's Cottage.
Ooh,
and
nice.
if you're not familiar, Lincoln's Cottage was Camp David back in Lincoln's day. And I actually had dinner and sat in the room where he wrote the Emancipation Proclamation.
Isn't that crazy just to think about? Like, that's just crazy.
Yeah, like I was sitting in the same room.
Yeah.
Creepy.
Yeah. We toured the White House and I felt the same way. I was like, man, there's a lot of history like right here in this stateroom. So.
I've never been in the White House. We'll have to talk about that on the next show.
Yeah, it was cool.
Just what you saw.
Yeah, cool experience for sure.
Nice.
But,
All right. What's going on in Cyberland?
So let's talk about some breaches, right? So we have Avis, 300,000 potentially impacted there. Not a lot of information yet about that, but it looks like they took, kind of the typical stuff, names, addresses, driver's license numbers, credit cards that were saved, things like that. But I think the interesting thing with that is, so that's the third automotive data breach in the last 3 months. So it's been Avis, CDK Global, which provides services to actually the dealerships. They had a ransomware issue and was down for, I want to say several weeks. I want to say maybe 3 weeks.
Wow. Okay.
So that impacted several car dealerships in our area and nationally. And then Auto Nation and Auto Canada has been hit recently. So
wow. Okay. That's a lot.
yeah, kind of an uptick in just the auto industry and didn't we have what was the auto parts retailer? that was hit recently
yeah.
too.
I think it was National. Was it National Auto Parts?
I can't remember if it was that or Advanced. I don't want to say the wrong one, but
Yeah,
there
it
was
was
like
one of those.
a parts distributor, right? So
Right.
some activity going there and on there in that sector as well. So
I think what's interesting in all those is that just so listeners know and viewers know, a lot of these threat actors may not necessarily act on that one specifically. So they may take the data from the Avis breach and may fill in some holes and put all these together.
right, where else does it apply?
Correct.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, you got anything else on that?
No, I don't.
All right. So I wanted to hit on some patching today, right? It's Microsoft Patch Tuesday was this week. They had 4 0 days that have been actively exploited that they fixed, and then 79 flaws. I think people are normally pretty good about Microsoft patching, right? They do that pretty regularly. Another one that came out was Veeam. I've seen a lot of Veeam deployments out in the field. They had 5 criticals. One actually allows remote code execution. I think Veeam is one of those things, right, where nobody wants to patch Veeam because
Right.
their backups are working, right? And it's not on your typical radar, but those ancillary applications that are supporting your infrastructure, really important that you patch those and watch out for those as well.
Agreed.
And then SonicWall had a critical vulnerability exploited in a ransomware attack that impacts Sonic OS on Gens 5, 6, and 7 firewalls. So
Okay.
I know I've seen some of those out in the field as well. So
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of firewall manufacturers in the news, and it seems like it just kind of fluctuates. It's Fortinet, it's Sonic, it's Palo Alto, and I've seen a lot of crucifixion out on the internet, right? So everybody will kind of hammer whatever that firewall manufacturer is and say oh, these guys have a track record of high critical, so don't use them, and then it'll shift to somebody else, right? So I think the most important thing is, first of all, you're not manufacturing your own firewalls. So until you're writing software and manufacturing the hardware and sourcing the chips, right,
Yeah.
it's difficult, and you're going to use somebody else's
you
stuff.
have to rely on somebody.
You have to
right?
rely on somebody else.
Yeah.
So I think just having the right governance in place to make sure that you're patching and that you're in tune with that, and because we still see breaches and security incidents that involve vulnerabilities from patches from like 5 years ago.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, just knowing what you have, I mean, you have to find something that works for you, right? Not everything needs like the Ferrari implementation,
Sure.
but just knowing what you have and keeping track of those is so important, and just having that governance there. So
Yep, absolutely.
something I wanted to call out this week for sure.
No, that's a good call
Lots
out.
of patches, so
Yep.
just check what you have.
Right, absolutely.
What else you got? You want to do Columbus update?
Yeah, so let's update everybody on the city of Columbus. If you haven't caught the most recent update, Director Orth actually did a presentation. He's the city's IT director, so the gentleman that's ultimately responsible for all the technology and security of the city. Testified that basically 23% of the city's infrastructure is still needs to come up.
That's a lot.
It is. He released that they had 441 applications in the city. He also explained that they had learned that basically there was a lot of records retention for stuff that was longer than what was necessary.
I just want to touch on that one while
go
you're
ahead.
talking about it. I mean, that is something I see so often out there in the field is, people not knowing where their data is, how long they've had, like we keep things forever is what I hear all the time. And
Yeah, that's tough. It's not just local government. I mean, I have specifically been on assessments in the private sector, and they had stuff from like 20 years.
absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a big risk.
And what usually goes along with that too is not only are you taking responsibility for all of that data, but it has to be backed up possibly too. So it makes your backup costs higher. It makes your
Yeah.
backup times higher. It makes your response times and recovery longer because you have all that data. You're dragging
Yeah.
that stuff around with you.
That's a good way to put it. You're dragging that
Yeah.
stuff away
Yeah,
around
I
with
mean-
you, right? And I've seen it migrated from, applications to on-prem file shares to OneDrive. I've just seen it migrated all over the place, and I'm just like, just get rid of it.
Yeah, I know.
Nobody wants to hit that delete button, right? So
Well, in Ohio, the records, a city or a local government's records retention policy is dictated and approved by somebody outside of the city. I can't remember what state agency does it, but you have to submit for that, and it has to get approved. So the director also started mentioning stuff about changing the retention policy. Just for clarification, the city can't change that themselves, so they have to submit for that change. But that's a monumental task. I mean, it takes a long time of a network of that size, to really identify all of those assets, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's not even worth going through the whole line of it, but everybody listening knows that, I probably need to do a better job of discovering, my stuff.
Yeah.
So the city says that they're going to issue a kind of a final or preliminary report in October. That's just 30 days away. There's still a lot of stuff that's unclear about Columbus, a lot. I don't think they've identified patient zero. At least they've not indicated that, which means that I don't really know if they have a good idea of how this started or what the originating device was. There seems to be some discussion about possibly the city not having or having cyber insurance. That seems to be unclear. Not that they have to give all this up. I'm just, if you're outside looking in, right, and a lot of organizations and people are looking at the city of Columbus to learn, right? There's a large opportunity at the end of the day to learn from example.
Right.
And I think that's what a lot of people are trying to do. We're trying to understand, get educated, and learn so that, people can protect themselves in the future.
Yeah. And that's one of the problems that we've talked about before, right? I mean, so many of these things are kind of like under the covers, and it's hard to get the details. It's hard to learn from those things. So, I don't know. Hopefully that gets better, I guess.
Yeah, I hope so. I've been kind of critical of it, but just because I feel for everyone there. I feel for, the council, the mayor, everybody, the citizens. It just hasn't went right. And it could have went better. So I'd like to learn from that.
Yeah, totally agree. So.
All right.
And I just had one more thing. So kind of a personal story. Yesterday in the mail, I got a letter from Infosys talking about a data breach. And I kind of started reading through the letter, and actually got two of the exact same letters on the exact same days. And Infosys had a breach in, I want to say, October, November of 23. And they just started mailing out these letters, I think, in June.
Yikes.
And I got mine in September.
That took a while.
It did. So when I started thinking about that, I was like, man, do I have an Infosys account? Like, what is this for, right? And it turns out they're a processor for, like, New York Life Group, maybe I think Fidelity, T. Rowe Price, things like that. So, like, investment accounts, things like that. So I'm really trying to figure out, like, what company do I do business with that does business with them that now they have all my, everything's been breached. So something I'm just going to kind of follow for a while and kind of see where it goes. But I mean, they took, the same stuff, socials. This was kind of interesting, medical treatment and record info, biometric data, which I don't think I gave them, but passport numbers. I mean, they had a lot of data. And I don't know if everyone got the same.
Okay, so they weren't indicating that all of those things belong to you.
No, so I don't know what piece of that.
I got you.
I mean, I don't think I gave them any. I really have no idea. I don't even know how they got my data. So something I'm going to try to find out and kind of look into and just kind of follow for a while and see where it goes, really. Yeah,
you and I were talking just real briefly before we went on the air about that, about how, I think your main question was, how did it get there? So I think that's a big problem is, Americans don't understand, and really probably beyond America, U.S. citizens specifically, don't know where their data has gone.
Right. And I was just trying to do like just some quick Google searches to see who, who have I done business with that has done, like, who are their customer base? Because I mean, they're not marketing, they're not working with the average person, right? I mean, they're a company, a business to business enterprise. So but yeah, I'm going to follow the trail and see what happens.
Interesting. All right. Well, that's all we have for today. Thanks for viewing, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for watching.